Rahul moved slowly through the thick jungle. The air was hot and heavy, and each step felt like he was walking deeper into a world that had been forgotten for centuries. In his hands he carried a worn map, its edges torn and faded with time. This map had been given to him by an old man in a nearby village. The man had whispered that the map showed the way to an ancient place, a place where even the bravest hunters did not dare to go. Rahul did not believe in legends, but he believed in discovery. His heart beat with the dream of finding something that would prove humans had always been stronger than the world thought. The jungle pressed against him from all sides. Bright birds flew overhead, and monkeys shouted from the trees. Yet the deeper Rahul walked, the quieter the forest became. It was as if nature itself respected the ground he was entering. After hours of walking, Rahul reached a cliffside hidden behind heavy vines. He pushed the vines away and found a dark opening in the stone. The map had been true. He lit his lantern and stepped inside. The air changed as soon as he entered the cave. It was cool and damp, filled with the smell of earth and stone. The sound of his footsteps echoed against the walls. Strange carvings appeared on the rock, glowing faintly in the light of his lantern. They showed men in headdresses, warriors holding spears, and shapes of creatures Rahul had never seen before. Some had wings, some had long limbs, and some looked like stars with faces. He ran his fingers over the carvings and felt the fine lines. These were not made in haste. They were stories left behind with care. Rahul walked deeper into the cave, following a narrow tunnel that twisted like a snake. His lantern revealed more markings, some painted with red and green colors that had not faded with time. He could see figures kneeling before something in the sky. In another carving, humans stood tall with weapons raised high. Rahul's eyes widened. This was not only art. It was history. The Mayans had written their struggles on the stone, and Rahul was the first to see it in many centuries. The tunnel opened into a larger chamber. The walls shone with veins of jade, green and bright like captured light. Rahul's breath caught in his throat. He had seen jade in museums, but never like this. It was alive, shining as though it carried its own fire. At the center of the chamber stood a pillar of stone. Around the pillar, red markings formed circles like suns. The sight filled Rahul with both wonder and unease. It was beautiful, but it also felt like a warning. He stepped closer to the pillar. On it, more carvings told a longer story. A city beneath the ground. Towers made of stone and jade. Canals glowing red like rivers of light. And at the heart of the city, figures standing in defiance against beings that looked like giants from the sky. Rahul touched the carvings gently. His hand trembled as he traced the image of a man holding a spear against one of the sky beings. The message was clear. This was a record of a hidden city, a city built by humans to stand against something far greater. As Rahul studied the pillar, a faint sound reached his ears. It was not the echo of his footsteps. It was a whisper, low and soft, like air moving through hollow stone. He lifted his lantern higher and looked around the chamber. The shadows seemed to stretch and move. The carvings seemed almost alive in the flickering light. Rahul's heart pounded faster. He told himself it was only the wind, only the cave, yet the feeling would not leave him. He felt as if unseen eyes were watching him. He backed away from the pillar and sat on a stone ledge. His thoughts raced. If the carvings were true, this cave was only the beginning. The hidden city was somewhere deeper. It was not just a story but a place that still waited to be found. Rahul looked again at the glowing jade veins and the endless tunnel that led further into the darkness. His pulse quickened. He knew he could not turn back now. but Rahul also understood the danger. A place hidden for so long would not remain safe. It was kept secret for a reason. Perhaps the Mayans had left warnings not only in pictures but in silence, letting time cover their secrets. Still, Rahul's spirit burned with curiosity. He stood again, holding the lantern high. He whispered to himself that he would return with others. Alone he could not face what lay deeper, but with a team he might find the truth. Before leaving the chamber, Rahul took a piece of broken jade from the floor. It was small, but it glowed faintly in his hand. He wrapped it in cloth and placed it in his pack. It was proof that the hidden city was real. When he stepped out of the cave and back into the jungle, the sun was setting in red and gold colors. Rahul stood in the fading light, gripping the map tightly. His journey had just begun, and he knew he had found the path to something that could change the way the world saw human history. The jungle around him seemed to whisper in the wind as if it knew his secret. Rahul felt both fear and excitement. The Mayan underworld was waiting for him, and the city of jade and blood was no longer just a legend. It was real, and soon the world would know it. Rahul did not sleep much that night. His mind stayed on the glowing jade, the carvings, and the whispering sound that had followed him in the cave. He knew he could not explore the place alone. The tunnels were too deep, and the carvings spoke of dangers he did not yet understand. At sunrise, he returned to the village and began speaking to people he trusted. Maria, a historian who studied Mayan writings, listened carefully when Rahul told her what he had seen. She had always believed there were parts of Mayan history that had been hidden or forgotten. When Rahul showed her the piece of jade he had taken, she held it in her hands with awe. It glowed faintly even in daylight, and her eyes filled with excitement. She agreed to go with him without hesitation. Tamash, a strong man who worked in the forests, was next. Rahul needed someone who could face hard paths and heavy obstacles. Tamash laughed when Rahul described the glowing veins of jade but agreed when he saw the map and heard Maria's serious tone. If this is real, Tamash said, then we must see it with our own eyes. Luis, a quiet man skilled with machines, completed the team. He was not one to chase myths, but he trusted Rahul. Luis carried scanners, ropes, and lights. He reminded the group that caves could be dangerous and that they should prepare for the worst. Rahul nodded. He had felt the same fear inside the chamber, but his will to return was stronger. The four set out at dawn. The jungle path seemed even heavier than before, as if the air itself tried to push them back. Birds fell silent as they walked, and the trees cast long shadows across the ground. When they reached the cliffside, Rahul pulled away the vines to show them the entrance. One by one, they stepped into the cool darkness of the cave. The light from their lamps spread across the stone walls. Maria gasped as she saw the carvings. Her hands traced the figures of warriors and sky beings. She whispered that these were not common carvings. They were records of battles, of humans standing against powerful rulers. Tamash studied the pictures of spears and shields, shaking his head. They look ready to fight, he said. But what were they fighting? Rahul kept silent, his thoughts on the whispering sound he had heard alone. He did not tell the others. He wanted them focused on what was in front of them, not shadows from the past. As they moved deeper, the air grew colder. The tunnel twisted and dropped in sharp turns. Luis used a scanner to mark their path so they would not get lost. He frowned as he looked at the readings. These walls are not natural, he said. They were shaped with tools, cut with precision. This was not just a cave. It was made to last. Soon they reached the first chamber Rahul had seen. The jade veins glowed faintly in their light. Maria's eyes widened. She touched the wall and whispered that no mineral should shine like this after centuries. Rahul showed them the pillar with its red circles and carvings. The group studied it with care. Maria translated parts of the story. She explained that it told of a city hidden below, a city of stone and jade where humans once resisted rulers from the stars. Tomasz shook his head again. A city under the ground? How could such a thing survive? Maria answered firmly. The Mayans were masters of stone and design. If they built such a place, they would have hidden it well. Luis pointed at a crack in the far wall. A faint glow of jade spilled through it. He tapped the stone and listened. It was hollow. With effort, the group pushed the rocks aside and revealed another passage, narrower but sloping downward. Rahul felt his heart pound. This was the path he had seen in his dreams since finding the first chamber. He stepped forward, his lantern high, and the others followed. The tunnel led them deeper into the earth. The glow of jade became stronger, guiding them even without their lamps. Strange symbols lined the walls, sharper and clearer than before. Maria studied them as they walked, whispering translations. The people here were not slaves, she said. They rose up. They built weapons with the power of the earth. They fought against giants who came from the sky. The words filled Rahul with pride. Humanity had not always bowed to stronger powers. Even in the ancient past, people had stood tall. After hours of descent, the tunnel widened into a vast cavern. The group stopped in silence. Before them lay a bridge of stone stretching across a deep chasm. Far below, red light pulsed like a living heart. On the other side of the bridge, faint outlines of towers rose in the darkness, shining with veins of jade. The explorers stood frozen, unable to believe their eyes. It was not just a myth. The hidden city was real. The towers reached upward, their tops lost in shadow. Water dripped from the ceiling of the cavern, echoing in the vast space. The air carried a hum, low and steady, as if the stone itself breathed. Rahul stepped onto the bridge first. His lantern shone on carvings in the stone floor. The carvings showed warriors again, standing in lines as if guarding the path. Maria followed, her eyes shining with wonder. Luis scanned the bridge and said it was stable, though ancient. Tomasz looked into the chasm below and muttered that no fall could be survived there. As they crossed, Rahul felt the same uneasy weight he had felt in the first chamber. It was not only the beauty of the place but something else. He turned his head and thought he saw movement in the shadows of the towers. His chest tightened, but he said nothing. He knew this was only the beginning. When they reached the other side, the entrance to the city stood before them. Giant doors of stone carved with jade symbols rose higher than any building Rahul had ever seen. The doors were closed, but light leaked through their cracks. The city waited in silence, as if holding its breath for the arrival of the humans who had returned at last. Rahul placed his hand on the cold stone. His heart pounded. The descent was complete. The hidden city of jade and blood stood before them. The four explorers stood in silence before the massive doors. The jade symbols carved into the stone seemed to glow softly in the darkness, as if alive. Rahul felt the weight of history pressing on his shoulders. He looked at his team. Maria's eyes were filled with wonder, Tomasz's with caution, and Luis's with steady focus. They had come too far to stop. Luis set down his pack and pulled out a small scanner. He moved it across the doors and frowned. These doors are sealed, but not by force. They were made to be closed for a long time. There is a locking system here, hidden in the stone. He pressed his hand against the surface and felt faint grooves. If we can find the right pattern, it may open. Maria studied the carvings closely. She traced the shapes with her fingers. These are not just symbols. They tell a story. Look here, the circle of jade represents life, and the red lines represent power drawn from the earth. If we follow the pattern, it may show the way. Together, Rahul and Maria pressed the symbols in order. A deep rumble shook the ground. Dust fell from the ceiling. Slowly, the massive doors began to move, stone grinding against stone. A thin line of light widened as the doors opened inward, revealing the city beyond. The explorers stepped inside, and the sight stole their breath. Before them stretched a vast underground city. Towers of jade and stone rose high, their surfaces glowing faint green. Canals of red light flowed like rivers, weaving through the streets. Bridges arched over the canals, and plazas opened into wide spaces. The city was silent, yet it shone as if it had been waiting for them. Rahul walked forward, his footsteps echoing against the stone. "It is alive," he whispered. His voice was full of awe. "The city is alive." Maria's hands trembled as she wrote notes in her journal. "This is the greatest discovery of our time. No, of all time. The Mayans built this with knowledge beyond what we believed they had. They created light that does not fade, stone that does not break." Tomasz turned slowly, his eyes scanning the towers. "But where are the people? Where are the remains of the city? A place like this could not just vanish without reason." Louis scanned the ground and walls. His device hummed with strange readings. "The energy here is strong. Too strong. It is unlike anything I have seen. These canals of red light are not decoration. They are channels of power, moving through the city like blood in veins." The explorers walked across a bridge and entered a wide plaza. Statues lined its edges. They were tall figures carved from jade, each holding a weapon unlike any spear or sword known on Earth. The statues' eyes glowed faintly, giving them an almost living presence. Rahul stared at them uneasily. They seemed like guardians, waiting for a command. Maria moved closer to one of the statues and examined the carvings at its base. "These are inscriptions of names," she said softly. "These statues are not gods. They are warriors. Perhaps they were once people of the city, remembered as heroes." Rahul stepped to the center of the plaza. From there, he could see the city stretching out in every direction. Streets led deeper into the heart of the underground world, where the largest tower rose above all others. It glowed brighter than the rest, its top lost in shadow. Rahul felt drawn to it, as if it called to him. The group continued walking, their lamps almost unnecessary in the glowing city. They passed smaller homes carved into the stone, their doors still intact. Inside, they found pottery, tools, and carvings left untouched by time. It was as if the people had walked away one day and never returned. Tomasz picked up a piece of pottery and turned it in his hands. "It looks like they lived normal lives here. Families, workers, warriors. But why would they leave a city of such power?" Maria replied with a heavy voice. "Perhaps they did not leave. Perhaps something forced them out." Her words hung in the air. Rahul glanced back at the statues. Their jade eyes seemed brighter now. A shiver ran down his spine. At last, the explorers reached a grand hall at the base of the tallest tower. Its doors were wide open, as if inviting them inside. The hall was lined with murals carved into jade walls. The murals told a story in pictures. The first showed humans kneeling before beings that descended from the sky. The second showed humans rising up, building weapons powered by the red canals. The third showed a great battle, with humans driving the sky beings away. And the fourth showed silence, the city empty, its towers glowing in the dark. Maria studied the murals with wide eyes. This proves everything. The Mayans did not just worship. They resisted. They fought against powers greater than themselves. And they won. Raoul placed his hand on the final mural, his heart filled with pride. Humans have always stood against those who tried to rule them. This city is proof of that strength. But as they admired the murals, a faint sound echoed through the hall. It was the same whisper Raoul had heard before. This time, the others heard it too. They froze, their eyes darting around the room. The sound grew louder, like stone shifting against stone. Tomasz lifted his lantern toward the statues that lined the hall. Their jade eyes glowed brighter, pulsing with light. One of them moved. Slowly, its arm lifted, and its head turned toward the intruders. The explorers stepped back in shock. The guardians were not just statues. They were waking. The air in the hall grew heavy as the first guardian's arm rose. Its jade eyes glowed bright, casting green light across the walls. The stone figure stepped down from its pedestal, its weight shaking the ground. Another guardian stirred, then another. Soon, the hall echoed with the grinding sound of moving stone. Raoul held up his lantern, his voice firm but low. "Stay calm. Do not run." His words were meant for his team, but his own heart pounded in fear. Maria clutched her notebook to her chest. They were built as protectors. They must have a purpose. If we understand that purpose, maybe they will not harm us. Tomasz did not share her calm. He gripped a heavy tool from his pack and stepped in front of the others. Purpose or not, they are coming toward us. We need to move. The guardians advanced slowly, their stone feet striking the floor in unison. Their weapons of jade glowed faintly, sharp edges gleaming. They moved like soldiers, their focus fixed on the intruders. Luis's scanner beeped wildly, showing energy surging through the statues' bodies. He looked pale as he whispered, "These are not just statues. They are machines powered by the city itself." Raoul's eyes darted to the murals on the wall. His mind raced. The last carving showed the city empty. Maybe these guardians were left to watch over it? They are protecting something. The guardians closed the distance, their tall figures casting long shadows. Raoul made a quick choice. "We head deeper into the tower. Move now." The group ran toward the open passage at the far end of the hall. The guardians quickened their pace, their stone steps echoing like thunder. The explorers rushed through the passage and into another chamber. This one was smaller, filled with rows of stone shelves covered in dust. Ancient scrolls and broken tablets lay scattered. Maria's eyes lit up at the sight, but Raoul pulled her forward. "No time now. We cannot stop." Behind them, the guardians entered the chamber, their glowing eyes scanning the space. Tomasz pushed over a shelf, blocking the path for a moment. The crash slowed the statues, but not for long. They stepped over the debris with ease. The group hurried down another tunnel, the walls glowing with jade veins that pulsed faster now, as if the city itself was waking. The sound of moving stone followed them at every turn. At last, they stumbled into a vast open space at the base of the tower. A giant circular platform stood in the center, surrounded by pillars carved with red and green symbols. At its heart pulsed a device, glowing with the same energy that flowed through the canals. The red light rose and fell like a heartbeat, filling the chamber with a steady hum. Louise stopped, scanning the device with wide eyes. This is the core of the city. The energy flows from here. It powers everything, even the guardians. Maria moved to the carvings on the pillars. She read aloud in a trembling voice, "The guardians will awaken when strangers enter. They will test the strength of those who come. Only the worthy may stand before the heart." Rahul looked at the glowing device, then at the guardians stepping into the chamber. So they are not just here to destroy us. They are here to see if we deserve to be here. The guardians spread out, circling the group. Their glowing eyes fixed on the explorers. One lifted its weapon high, a long blade of jade shining in the red light. Tomash stood ready, but Rahul raised his hand. "Wait. Fighting them will not win. We must show them we are not enemies." Maria stepped forward, holding up her notebook filled with sketches of the murals. She shouted, her voice steady, "We are the children of those who built this city. We carry their blood. We are not here to take. We are here to learn." The guardians paused. Their glowing eyes dimmed slightly, as if considering her words. The chamber fell silent except for the hum of the device. Rawl's heart pounded as he waited. But then one guardian stepped forward, swinging its blade down toward the group. Tomash blocked with his tool, sparks flying as Jade struck metal. The force knocked him back, but he stayed standing. The guardians were testing them, and there was no avoiding it. Louise shouted over the noise, "The carvings said only the worthy may stand before the heart. We must endure. Do not strike to destroy, only to prove ourselves." The battle was strange, more like a trial than a fight. The guardians swung their weapons with great force, but always in patterns, as if testing reflex and courage. Rahul dodged one strike and held his ground. Tomash blocked another blow, his arms shaking with the effort. Maria raised her voice again, chanting the words of the inscriptions, reminding the guardians of the human spirit. Slowly, the guardians began to step back. Their glowing eyes softened. The light in their weapons dimmed. One by one, they returned to their places around the chamber, standing still once more. The explorers stood in the center, breathing hard, sweat running down their faces. Rawl's chest rose and fell as he looked at the silent guardians. "We passed," he said softly. "They tested us, and we proved ourselves." Maria nodded, her eyes shining. "The city remembers. It knows we are worthy." Luis lowered his scanner, still trembling. "If this is only the beginning, I fear what more the city will show us." Rahul turned his gaze to the glowing device at the center. Its steady pulse filled the chamber with light and sound. He knew this was the heart of the city, and it held answers that had been hidden for centuries. But it also held secrets that might change everything they believed about humanity's past. The guardians stood silent once more, but Rahul felt their eyes still upon them. The test was over, but the true journey had only begun. The glow from the device filled the chamber with a steady red and green light. The explorers stood in silence, their bodies tired from the trial but their spirits alive with questions. Rawl's eyes stayed fixed on the pulsing core. He felt drawn to it, as if the stone heart of the city wanted to speak. Maria moved toward the carved pillars surrounding the platform. She brushed away dust that had settled on the ancient symbols. Her voice was calm but steady as she read the inscriptions aloud. The city was built in the age of the sky rulers. The people gave their strength to the earth, and the earth gave its strength to them. With jade they shaped towers, with fire they shaped weapons, and with courage they shaped freedom. Her words echoed in the chamber, carried by the hum of the core. Rahul listened with pride swelling in his chest. humanity had not been only builders of temples and worshippers of gods. They had been fighters, creators, and survivors. Tomasz stepped closer, his eyes scanning the carvings. So the legends were true. The Mayans were not only ruled by beings from the sky. They resisted. They fought back. Maria nodded. She turned to another pillar where the carvings were deeper and darker. She traced the lines with her finger. Here it tells of the rivers of red light. This is not blood, but energy. The canals we saw are not for water. They carry the life of the earth itself. The people used it to power their weapons and their city. That is how they stood against their rulers. Louis studied the device at the center. His scanner flickered with strange readings. The energy is unlike anything we know. It is stable, yet it never fades. If the people controlled this, they had power beyond our modern tools. He paused, his brow furrowed. But something is missing. The energy is still here, yet the city is empty. Where did they go? Raoul walked to another mural on the wall behind the core. It was larger than the ones before, stretching across the stone like a book written in pictures. The first part showed the sky beings arriving in great ships. Their shapes were tall and strange, their faces hidden. The second part showed humans bowing, giving offerings, and building under the watch of their rulers. The third part was different. Humans stood tall, no longer kneeling. They carried weapons glowing with red light, weapons forged from jade. The fourth part was filled with battle. Ships of the sky burned in flames. The last part showed humans raising their weapons in victory. Raoul touched the final carving with his hand. His voice was low but firm. They won. The Mayans won. They drove away the sky beings. Maria's eyes filled with light. This is proof that humans have always had the will to fight back. Even when faced with powers beyond the stars, they rose up and claimed their freedom. Tomasz's face was hard as he studied the battle scene. If they were strong enough to win, then why did they vanish? Why is the city silent? Maria looked at the last section of the mural. At first it seemed empty, but as she brushed more dust away, faint lines appeared. They showed a circle, a pattern of stars, and people walking into the earth. Her voice softened. Perhaps they left willingly. Perhaps they sealed themselves away to keep their knowledge safe. Or perhaps they feared the return of the sky beings and hid their strength until the time was right. Louis stepped closer to the mural. If they sealed themselves away, maybe they are not gone. Maybe the city is waiting for us to awaken its full power. The idea filled Raoul with both hope and fear. He looked again at the guardians standing silent around the chamber. They had tested the group, and now they allowed them to stand before the heart of the city. The message was clear. The city recognized them as worthy. But worthy of what? As Maria continued to study the carvings, the hum of the core grew louder. The red light pulsed faster, spreading into the canals that ran through the chamber. The ground trembled slightly. Louis checked his scanner and his eyes widened. The energy is rising. Our presence has awakened the system. The city is coming alive. The explorers exchanged uneasy glances. They had uncovered the truth, but now they were part of it. The city was no longer asleep. Maria closed her notebook and faced the group. We cannot let this knowledge be lost again. The world must know that our ancestors stood against the stars and won. Tomasz frowned. And what if the sky beings return? If we share this with the world, we may bring danger back to us. Raoul looked at the glowing murals, the guardians, and the pulsing core. His voice was steady. If they return, We will be ready. Just like those who came before us. This city is not only a secret. It is a legacy. It is proof that humans can rise against any force, no matter how strong. The others stood in silence, taking in his words. The hum of the city seemed to answer him, its rhythm like a heartbeat of stone and light. As they left the chamber, the jade towers outside glowed brighter. The canals of red energy pulsed stronger, lighting the streets of the hidden city. The silence was no longer empty. It was the silence before awakening. Rahul felt it deep inside. The truth had been revealed, but the greatest test was still ahead. The city was alive again, and it had chosen them as its witnesses. The explorers stood at the base of the tallest tower, watching the pulsing core of the city. The red and green light flowed through the canals, moving like the heartbeat of a living being. The guardians had returned to their positions, their glowing eyes fixed on the group. Raul's hands clenched as he realized that the city itself was awakening around them. Luis moved closer to the core, scanning its energy. "The readings are off the charts," he said, his voice tight. "The city is preparing itself. I don't know if we can control this." Maria stepped forward, studying the carvings on the pillars once more. Her fingers traced the lines that told the story of the Mayans and the sky beings. "We have come this far. We cannot turn back now. The city has chosen us, and it expects us to complete what our ancestors started." Tomasz shook his head, glancing at the glowing canals. "The guardians tested us. Now the city itself is alive. If we make one wrong move, it could crush us." Rahul took a deep breath. "Then we move carefully. The city will respond to our actions. We need to reach the heart and understand it fully." The explorers stepped onto the platform surrounding the core. The pulsing light grew stronger with each step, filling the chamber with energy. The guardians circled around them, moving with silent precision. Rahul felt the weight of their gaze, but he refused to let fear take control. Maria approached the device at the center. The red light seemed to react to her presence. She traced her hands over the surface, feeling the energy hum beneath her fingertips. "It is like it is alive," she whispered. "It responds to our touch. It is waiting for us to make a choice." Luis adjusted his scanner and pointed toward the glowing pillars. "The energy flows through these channels into the city. If we activate it fully, the entire city will awaken. The guardians will move, and the hidden power of the Mayans will return." Rahul looked at the guardians, then at his team. "We must do it," he said firmly. "We have been tested and passed. We are ready. We carry the legacy of those who built this city. Let us finish what they began." Maria nodded and placed her hands fully on the device. The red light flared brighter, spreading through the canals with speed. The ground trembled under their feet, and the humming of the city grew into a low roar. The guardians stepped forward, their eyes brighter than before, but they did not attack. They watched. Tomasz and Luis helped stabilize the device, ensuring the energy flowed evenly. The murals on the walls lit up, showing the Mayans building the city, fighting the sky beings, and rising victorious. The pulse of the energy carried the story across the chamber, as if the city itself wanted to teach them. Rahul raised his hand to the guardians. "We are here to honor the past, not to destroy it," he said. "We respect the power of the city, and we will use it wisely." The largest guardian stepped forward, lifting its weapon high. For a moment, the room was filled with tension, but instead of striking, the guardian bowed slightly. One by one, the others did the same. Rahul realized that the city recognized them not as intruders but as successors of its builders. The energy in the core surged, filling the entire chamber with blinding light. The explorers shielded their eyes, and when they opened them again, they saw the city transformed. The towers shone brighter, the canals glowed like molten light, and the streets seemed alive with energy. The hidden city of jade and blood was fully awake. Maria stepped back, her face filled with awe. It is magnificent. The city remembers everything. It carries the strength of the people who built it. Luis checked his scanner, shaking his head in disbelief. The energy levels are stable now. It is controlled, but limitless. This city could power itself for centuries if left untouched. Tomasz looked around at the Guardians. And they will protect it? The city is alive, but it also has its own army. We are safe here, for now. Rahul walked to the edge of the platform, gazing at the glowing towers. We have done more than discover a city. We have revived it. We have proven that humans can rise against any power, no matter how strong. This is the legacy of our ancestors. Maria nodded. And it is our duty to protect it? We must ensure that the world learns of its strength without destroying it. Humanity has been shown what it can achieve, but not all knowledge is meant to be used carelessly. The Guardians returned to their positions around the city, standing tall and silent, their eyes glowing faintly. The explorers understood that their trial was over, but the city's story had only just begun. Rahul turned to his team. We came here to find the truth. Now we have it. The Mayans built this city with courage, wisdom, and strength. They left it for those who could honor it. That is us. As the explorers prepared to leave the chamber, the energy of the city continued to pulse, steady and alive. The hidden city had awakened, and with it, the proof that humanity had always possessed the will to rise against impossible odds. The hidden city of jade and blood was no longer a secret. It was a testament to human courage, and it waited to teach the world. The explorers stood at the edge of the central plaza, gazing at the city that now shone brighter than ever. The towers of jade reflected the pulsing red canals, filling the underground space with a warm, living light. The Guardians stood motionless around the city, their eyes glowing faintly, a silent promise that they would continue to protect it. Raul's chest swelled with pride and awe. Maria stepped forward and touched the glowing jade of a tower. We have done more than find a city. We have awakened it. The Mayans left this for people who could honor their strength. That is us now. Luis adjusted his scanner one last time, noting that the energy flow had stabilized. The readings are incredible. This city has power beyond anything we have ever known. The Mayans were not only builders and warriors, they were visionaries. They created a city that could last forever. Tomasz glanced at the glowing canals and then at the Guardians. And they will protect it? We cannot stay here forever, but we will always remember what we have seen. Humanity has proven that courage and wisdom can create wonders. Rahul turned to the heart of the city, the device that had awakened the energy. He traced the pattern of the pulsing light with his eyes. The core seemed to respond to his gaze, steadying itself and glowing with pride. This city is alive because of our ancestors' courage, he said softly. And it is alive now because we dared to come here. Maria opened her notebook and carefully sketched the glowing canals and towers. She knew the world would not believe her drawings, but she wanted to remember every detail. One day, people will understand. They will see that humans have always had the will to rise against great powers. This city is proof of that strength. Tomasz sighed and looked toward the tunnels that led back to the surface. We should go. The jungle waits, and we have to carry this story with us. But the city will remain. It has been awakened, and it will protect itself. The group began walking toward the main tunnel. The glow of the city followed them, lighting their way like a guiding hand. Rahul glanced back one last time. The city seemed to hum, a soft vibration under the stone. It was a living memory, waiting for the world to learn from it. As they emerged into the jungle, the sun had begun to rise, casting golden light across the trees. The air was warm and fresh, carrying the sounds of birds and the wind in the leaves. Rahul took a deep breath, feeling both relief and wonder. They had returned from a world forgotten by time, but it had changed them forever. Maria adjusted her pack and smiled. We have the proof now. The Mayans built a city that humans could never forget. Even in the face of beings from the stars, they stood strong. And now, we have witnessed it? Luis nodded, still in awe. It is more than history. It is a reminder that humans are capable of great things. Courage, intelligence, and unity can overcome any force, no matter how strong. Tomasz laughed softly, shaking his head. I thought I had seen danger in the jungle, but nothing compares to that city. It tests you, it teaches you, and it rewards those who can endure. Humanity has always had the strength to rise, and now we know it for ourselves. Rahul led the group back along the forest path, carrying the small piece of jade he had taken from the first chamber. He felt its faint glow against his hand. It was a symbol of what they had discovered and of the legacy they now carried. The Mayans had built a city of jade and blood, not to terrify but to inspire. It was proof that humans could endure, resist, and rise above any challenge. As they walked, Rahul spoke quietly to his team. This is not the end. It is the beginning of understanding. One day, people will know that our ancestors built wonders to test courage, to protect knowledge, and to show that humans are strong. That is the story we carry now. Maria smiled and looked at the trees around them. And we must protect it? The city is alive, but its secrets are sacred. We cannot let greed or fear destroy what has survived for centuries. Its power belongs to those who respect it. The group continued their journey through the jungle, the first rays of sunlight breaking through the leaves. The city remained behind them, glowing faintly in the underground world, a hidden testament to human courage and wisdom. The guardians returned to their silent watch, and the city's heart pulsed steadily, alive with the knowledge of those who had built it and those who had awakened it. Rahul felt hope rise within him. Humanity had always faced challenges, from nature, from rivals, and from the unknown. The Mayan underworld had shown him that humans were capable of more than survival. They could rise, create, and endure beyond imagination. When they reached the surface clearing, the team stopped and looked back toward the jungle entrance. They would not reveal the city immediately. Its secrets were sacred, and the world was not yet ready to understand. But Rahul knew one thing for certain. The hidden city of jade and blood was a legacy of human courage, a proof that no power could crush the spirit of those who dared to rise. Together, they stepped forward into the sunlight, carrying the knowledge, the energy, and the memory of the Mayan underworld. Humanity's strength had been shown, and the hidden city waited, glowing and alive, as a symbol of what humans could achieve when they stood united, brave, and unbroken. The legacy of Jade had been revealed, and it would endure forever.